Guys, we went to the same primary school with this girl, but that's aside.
Then she followed me to high school.
Wow.
Then she followed me here.
Excuse me, guys. cut this.
I don't know why God keeps bringing you into my life. But
so, please, that will settle our scores after this episode. Will you guess it of Kuza? Hi guys, welcome back to our podcast. It's been a week or so. We did a previous series on a Q&A, and today we are back with a new face. I know you've not seen her here, but since she's here...
What do you mean? Hi guys, my name is Kabutai. My face might have changed, but it's me.
Alifanya plastic surgery, guys. Just don't mind her. So today we have a new guest, and I just let her introduce herself so that we can move on to our topic for the day.
Hi, my name is
Njeri Lilo.
My name is Njeri. Nimeitwa hapa kwa a short notice.
Wow.
So I have pulled all the strings I can pull to be here today.
Okay. You squeezed us in your schedule, in your tight schedule.
Yeah.
So guys, today we're going to do a topic on loneliness and depression. And our guide question today will be, is a lonely person depressed? Is a lonely person depressed?
No. It doesn't have to be. You can be lonely and depressed, but you can be lonely and not experiencing depression.
But loneliness is a symptom of depression. Actually, it's one of like the red flags zenye ukianza kuisikia we mwenyewe unajua hapa kuna alert, like you have to do something about it. So we umesema si lazima ukwe kuna mtu ako lonely, but hayuko depressed.
Yeah. I could have moved out of my parents' house for the first time, and I'm starting to live alone, and then I start experiencing loneliness. That doesn't mean I'm depressed.
But you might end up being depressed. Okay, the conversation will go on. We'll see. So, me for my cue, I'd say a lonely person isn't actually depressed. That is very true. Kuna mtu ako lonely by choice, tuanze hapo, because maybe ameenda out and everything she meets it just doesn't fit her box. Like imekataa kila mali anaenda, she just finds flaws in everyone.
Ushaikuwa na around watu. Have you ever been around people and you're having conversations like it's a social space and you feel lonely?
Yeah, because I feel like first of all, maybe Kenya wanaongelea is not something I know. Recently this week I was in a meeting. People are talking about a certain concert people go. Apparently it's a Kenyan concert. You'd guide me. You'd know this. So once a hit, like a beat drops in Africa, that concert happens. I don't know what's the name.
Okay, a beat.
I don't know. I'm just saying what I had. So that's to show you how lonely I was in that circle. So they're talking about, it's called Blue something. I don't know. And it happened yesterday. It was a Thursday concert.
You're saying Boiler Room?
Yeah, Boiler Room. So I was like, I don't even know the thing. So I actually went to look up. And I'm like, so this is, as in, wow, in their space, they're all connecting because they know this thing. They know you have to apply to go for the concert. I'm mesmerized because I'm like, in Kenya, you apply to go for a concert and you're not paying. So, as in, however much I picked something from them, for me, I was just floating. I zoned out. I was just there listening. Ule anachangia. But for them, they did not notice because washafika. Wanaongea wote, wamesahau mimi mwenyewe, sisemi kitu. So, I feel like loneliness, mostly when it's in a social circle of friends or at a workplace, might not be easily noticed. Because the people there, what was Shafika, as in, how do I say this? What was Shafika when you ought to tell yourself to get out of that space because it's just not where you're supposed to be.
Okay. So for me, the loneliness I experience when I'm around people is the one that I feel like these people don't relate with how I'm feeling. Like, let's say if I'm feeling really bad and everyone else around me, like kila mtu around me ako jovial, ama they're like life is continuing and
For them.
I'm just, man, I'm just here, I'm down and I can't even say, like, where do I even start? That's the kind, like, that's the loneliness like I experience when I'm around people, or if people are having, or people, when I'm around people and I can't relate to with their energy. Yeah.
So, okay. So what I've picked from you is that energy is a main factor for you in a circle, and it's one of the determinants for you not to become lonely. If the energy you have isn't with the rest of the 5, 6 people, then you term yourself to be lonely. That's what I've gotten, or rather, what I've understood.
Lonely at that time.
At
Yeah,
that time.
at that time when I'm in that social space with these people.
Oh,
Yeah.
which prompts me to ask, so if loneliness is long term, now does it become depression?
Yeah, I think loneliness can lead to depression.
When it's long term. Juu
Yeah.
sasa unaona hiyo yenye umesema at a specific time,
Yeah.
hiyo ni once you're out of that place, now you come back
And-
to your normal self.
Actually, I don't think that the one I'm talking about is. I had seen an Instagram comment. So when someone was trying to explain what that is, the one that you experience loneliness when you're still around people. Nikipata ntanini, I'll
You'll
read
plug
for you.
us.
Yeah, I'll read for you guys. But swali liko, loneliness. Ukiwa lonely, if it's long term, unaanza kunotice like nakuanga hivi, why are things not going like this for me? I feel like that's for me, that's how loneliness will lead to depression.
But mi niko na swali. If your loneliness is leading to depression, then does it mean that you're not self-aware, that you don't love yourself? Because most of the people or the stories I've had, once you're diagnosed with depression, your therapist will tell you you're lonely because actually you yourself, you have not understood that you don't actually even love yourself. Like inaanza kwako, because there are people who say, and it's a thing right now, it's a fling, as in me, I enjoy my own company, I'd rather stay alone. Actually, me, I vouch for such people. Thank you for recognizing yourself. Thank you for loving yourself. You appreciate your space, and you know what you can do, regardless of whether there's anyone or not, you'll still make it through this life. So, for me, I'd say the loneliness that leads to depression is the loneliness that lacks self-love. If your loneliness is in the context of you not loving yourself, then that is loneliness inclined to depression. Does that make sense?
I feel like ushikuwa na conversation when you are so uko so high, you can't.
Where is this going?
So umesema kuhusu like love, kuhusu nitwaje?
Self-love.
Kuhusu self-love.
Mm-hmm.
I can't relate to people who say they can't stay by themselves, because me nimeishi like kujua kukaa peke yangu na like enjoy my own company.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that's a coping mechanism we got.
Oh.
Actually, I feel like everybody, guys, we went to the same primary school with this girl, but that's aside.
Then she followed me to high school.
Wow.
Then she followed me here.
Excuse me, guys. cut this.
Jack, but I don't know why God keeps bringing you into my life.
But please, that will settle our scores after this episode. Will you guess it of Kuza? So I think back then in primary school, we were taught a self-independence. Till date, I see everybody, or rather the web I still have from the people who went with school with, they are so okay with being with themselves. Like, they're so good. Wow, wako comfortable. I know 4 or 5 people, I interact with them, not on a daily basis, but from time to time, I can tell you what goes on in their life. And they're so okay with them being by themselves. And I'd want to thank us for, but I won't thank them.
Tafadhali. Aish.
I would thank them because they are part of my trauma. That's why I had trauma in this life. But anyway.
But you do know how when tulikuwa Rema, when I transitioned to high school, I was like, I am so relaxed. I'm not even scared. Ikifika 8 times 6, atuambiwe tukimbie. So I was like,
and you're like, hey, because I used to, at the first high school I went to, not before coming to, where you're saying I followed you. I got there, and the first day, I'm like, people here, they're not in a hurry. Unaona venye sisi, how can I pat up to dorm? Like, that's not an option in this. Then people are asleep. Actually, even if you tell them the matron is coming, they're like, that's none of my business. Let me sleep. So I got a culture shock where, yani mimi, well, you quite relaxed. Me, I was tensed. I'm like, you guys are serious. Yani, you're not scared of authority. That's how you're built. Do you remember? I was like, we had the worst, wouldn't say the worst experience, but close to the worst, that built me differently till date. And that is why I understand most of the things that I go through and others, or rather I see people going through things and I'm like, that's part of life. You don't know that's part of life.
Primary taught us to be hard.
That's why we enjoy our loneliness in our own.
But you know, there's no problem. I also don't see a problem with someone who, okay, siwezi judge mse mwenye anasema haezi kaa peke yake, because probably like for me, I was brought up I have 3 brothers, but the way I nini venye nilikuwa, it's like I was raised as an only child because my brothers were like, were probably in school because I'm the last born, and my parents were at work. So most of the time I used to stay at home, alone. So like I got used to it, and there's people who have never experienced that. People who've always like been with their siblings every time, or with their parents, and now when they're outside, like it's a hard transition for them. And actually, even staying with people is not, because we do need people. So I wouldn't judge someone who says they can't stay alone, because probably they didn't grow up like I did. And at the same time, we do need people.
Yeah, Aboko could need people. Yes, it's very true. But there's you need, in my head, you need at most 4 people to survive.
At least.
At most.
At most.
Like ka mbaya ni mbaya, watu wanne wako sawa.
Friends.
Not even friends. Like even in your family, you pick out. The people who pick out between their mom and dad, I can survive with mom. And I'm like, the people who are actually built like that. Ako, kuna mtu mwenye hata kitu kifanyikia baba yake, they're so numb, they won't feel. I actually have had experiences zenye mtu ananiambia hivyo. I mean, you know.
And they grew up with the dad.
Yeah, he has been present. He's not an absent father. And they tell me, Mimi, if my mom is there, and they actually start imagining, the minute my mom will leave me in this life, I know it will be hard compared to my dad. So, what I was driving to actually is your sense of loneliness when you grew up with like an age gap and you are the only child at that particular time when you're growing. I feel like it's me because I'm also the firstborn, and the second person following me tumeachana na miaka kadhaa, like 9.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, so there's this whole era, a whole like decade I grew up alone. So I think upon your gain coping mechanism yangu ya loneliness when I was that age from 1 to 9, because there wasn't any other sibling. I was an only child for the longest time, but which I see with the fact that my brother and my sister, my younger sister, they're so close. They'll play, they'll do anything. But when I try to, like, kurudi level yao, it's so hard for me. I can't do it. But for them, it's so easy. So, when you tumesema, like, staying alone it's not a bad thing. But if there are people who run away from staying alone because they know maybe they'll self-harm. Like akiwa alone, either they end up overthinking, self-harming, just doing something that's not okay for them. And we love you, by the way, guys. We love you. We love you. Please take care. Please don't be lonely. Please find a friend. Please be friends with your neighbors.
Don't stop overthinking. Stop overthinking.
Yes.
Like he does it.
Why are you telling?
Thanks for the help. Okay, I just stopped.
I
didn't think of that before.
You know, I was asking somebody this week, you're telling me to stop overthinking. When you are late, I don't tell you stop being late. But you are coming to tell me to my face, stop overthinking. Like, I don't feel like that is fair. People who overthink are overthrown from the overthinking. Mtu anakula vibaya umwambiangi, we wacha kula vibaya. But me, when I overthink, you want to tell me, I should stop. I feel like that's unfair. If you do that, please don't. It's just an opinion. Stop it.
No, I think no. There's nothing wrong with telling someone to stop overthinking. Actually, nilikuwa na refer to when you umesema stop. Don't be lonely.
Oh,
it's a journey. Like wezi niambia stop overthinking, and I immediately stop overthinking.
But
stop being sad.
To stop overthinking is different because the loneliness part, you can actually, like, you have people in your life, nivenye too, you don't want to actively involve them. In my context, that's my understanding purely. So, you can opt to, like, put after how I say. But, hii story of overthink, iko one-sided. The fact that it's my brain and me. Like, hakuna any other third party involved. But story of loneliness, it's subject to change because there are people around you.
Here's the thing. Have you ever gone through a breakup?
I wouldn't say. Not so much. It was a friendship breakup, which I feel like it's different than a relationship one. Yeah.
So from the point of, from my own experience, have I ever gone through a breakup?
Yes. Please tell us. Uh-huh.
And at this time, when you're going through the breakup, after you've broken up with the person you've broken up with, you'll experience loneliness because at some point you were codependent to them. You are codependent, you know. And during this time, like even if I'm around my friends, I could feel a type of loneliness because they're not, like, I'm alone in this feeling. Unasikianga watu wakisema misery loves company.
Yes.
When you know there's somebody else, if I'm experiencing a breakup and I'm lonely because of this breakup, because of how I am feeling, and people around me do not relate to how I am feeling at that time. Oh, kuja uniambie pia mimi niko na breakup.
You guys will bond.
Yeah.
Over your breakup. Loneliness.
Yeah. So sometimes it's hard to tell people ama ku find comfort in people. When you ulikuwa unasema, when you umetoka kusema, like uko na wache kuwa lonely, like unaweza kuwa na wase around you wenye like hautaki ku find like comfort in them or something, but unaweza kuwa lonely na wase wengine around me how I relate to whatever I am feeling. So from there on, like sizi sema huwezi kuja uniambie wacha kuwa lonely. Like it will take time for me to go through the heartbreak and the loneliness that comes with the heartbreak.
The issue of loneliness when it comes to relationship is, I feel like that's a question of subject, because yes, that void or rather that space that person created can't be filled by a friend. Can't just be filled by your brother or your mom, because it was a specific kind of emotion that was drawn to that person. But now, when you tell me somebody bonds over loneliness, you can also bond with somebody else over the fact that they are showing you love, to fill the void that you're feeling during that breakup season.
Yeah, you can.
So then that justifies the fact that there's an option where you can actually stop being lonely, quote unquote.
Yeah, you can stop being lonely. But let me go back. How have I want to I wanted to ask myself how have I coped with times when I felt lonely.
Uh-huh. But you've had your friends, your inner circle has been with you, and that is why you've been there.
Yeah, but when I'm lonely, I like staying. When I'm lonely, I'll call people,
You see?
or I'll listen to me. I enjoy my own company truly, and I like staying alone sometimes when I'm going through something, and when I'm feeling bad, I think I need space to myself. But and when I'm in a really bad space and I go out with people, I don't feel okay with I don't usually feel okay. That's when my loneliness now comes in. So personally, I do need space for myself to do things that I love. To focus on the little things, to try and get back to myself. To try kujiuliza maswali. Why am I feeling like this? Why I need time by myself to figure out why I'm feeling this and this and that. And if I don't have time by myself and I'm hanging out with people constantly, then that's going to be an issue for me.
So for you, your idea is the loneliness has to happen. It is okay, it's not a must, but it has to. Which I understand, because if you don't go back to yourself and identify that yes, I'm lonely, but what will I do to break this pattern of loneliness? And that's where you now resonated, and so that I can listen to music, I can hang out with friends. Yes, the aspect of being lonely, it is a part of life. Even when Kami lately, I lost somebody so close last month, and it was so hard. And daily, as days goes by, now it starts hitting me. Hi, yeah, this person is not there. So that loneliness has to be felt. But
Yeah.
I have learned with time to stop crying. I've learned with time that wherever he is, people say they're taking care of you above there. So I've also actually, that was a notion I never took into books, but now I believe in it.
Yeah.
I'll talk and I'm like, I hope he's listening, wherever he is. So with time, the loneliness has to happen, but just don't let it get to your throat.
Yeah. When you're lonely, you just have to figure out how do I cope with this. But please remember that if you're going through a hard time, it passes. Even if it seems like it doesn't. And you know, when you're feeling really bad, sometimes unakanga iwajuliza, when will this end? Because it seems like forever. But trust me, it passes. That time does pass, and you just have to figure out how do I cope with this time when I'm feeling lonely. Do I try, and even if it's not hanging out with friends, you can just try and you can just try and find social interaction anywhere. You can go to the shop, you can take a walk. It
Like
just depends.
anything.
You just at the end of it, you'll just figure out how you'll cope with it. But please don't forget that time passes. So don't feel like you'll be there forever. Even if that time does feel like it feels like it's not ending, just know there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Woo! I think I won't add anything beyond that. Yes, guys. As your new co-host has said, as your new Faith Chengo said,
Yeah,
please.
Faith's new face.
This is our new face. Yeah. So, guys, my parting shot will be, yes, please be lonely, but not for a long time. Yeah. So, see you guys next time. Bye. I just hate this part where we get to tell you guys bye. But yeah, we put up polls by the guys, and we saw your demands. Your demands will be attended to. Collaborations, which might be coming up very soon. New guests, yes. We remember the first guest we brought you You did. You guys did epic. Yani,
Yeah.
that thing spread.
Didn't we all love the first guest?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
I remember there was a woman who is my mom's friend. She's around 60, and she sat down through the whole episode and listened because she didn't know what treasury bonds were.
Yeah.
So, guys, stay tuned. Next week, it might be a crew. We might be filming outside in a tent. You might not know. Javenye, hawa guests watakuwa wengi and the collaborations. So, yeah, bye.
Bye, guys.
10 minutes information.